Hey y'all, I have the cutest new project to share tonight. I had so much fun making this. It's traditional but whimsical and just old-timey looking to me. So this is a little project that I've had in the back of my mind for a while now. So I decided when the Two Crafters One Design theme challenge was to do rosettes, I decided to use this seed project that I had been thinking about and combine the rosette project into it. And I had never made a rosette before, and I don't even have a rosette die. So it was kind of I kind of went old school making the rosette, but I'll get into that in a few minutes. But this is part of the Jill Norwood Saturday Morning Makes, and also the Two Crafters One Design, and all the DIY Christmas projects that everyone likes to start working on is kind of what I had in mind for this. So this has a little elf on it, and as y'all can see, it says North Pole Seed Company, Peppermint Blossom, and it has the word annual down here. And if you turn it over, I just made a little brown glassine envelope, and it's the back of the rosette, and then it says Market Delight Baker's Choice, and it's just an old-timey seed packet with little sprinkles in it of peppermints and red and white sprinkles. And it could be a tag, it could be a Christmas ornament, it could be something to hang on the side of a bag. I just thought it would have so many fun uses. So these are the three I made, and I kind of wanted them to coordinate with each other. So I used similar colored paper, but all kind of in the old mint green colors that I just love for Christmas. So these are so easy, y'all, and so much fun to make. Let's show you the back of this one. It has the different rosettes that coordinate. And I just used this to coordinate with the fold over on each one of them. Okay, so that's what we're gonna make. And I'm gonna kind of show you everything that I used, but always just know that you can take what you have and, you know, just tweak it a little bit. That's why I love Saturday Morning Makes. It's always fun to watch what everybody uses, and then it kind of inspires you to do your own thing. So I'm gonna start with, let's see, y'all, let me find something to put down. These are the two stamps that I used. This one says North Pole Seed Company, Peppermint Blossom. And as you can see, y'all, it's very well loved. The top's worn off, and it has annual on the bottom. It is an old stamp by limited edition, 1997. And I love their old stamps, y'all. They're just classic red rubber and so versatile. But that's the main design, is this stamp. And then the little elf, let's see, it is a Susan Branch made by All Night Media. And so that's the little elf. And I've had this little elf forever, y'all. I've always thought he was so cute. So I'm always looking for a little excuse to incorporate him into my Christmas projects. So those are the two stamps that were used. So let's start with, let's see. If you stamp this is the image that you get. You just get the frame, and it says Peppermint Blossoms and all that. So that's, if you stamp it, that's what you start with. So I tried, at first, y'all, I was gonna do it on just some white cardstock, and I tried several different colors and used a separate die cut to cut a little window in it. But I was wanting something a little more Little House on the Prairie looking, you know, like the little the little country store, you know, and the little seeds and stuff. I don't know. That's just kind of what I had in the back of my mind. So I made these at first, and then I decided to use more of an old-timey printed paper for the seed fronts. So, but this is when you stamp it. This is the frame just fussy cut out because it's just an old stamp, y'all. I don't have a die cut or anything for it. So you just fussy cut it out. So this is what they look like when you cut it. Now, when I was doing this, I made sure to cut a little bit extra at the top of all these. So as you make your envelope, you have a little bit to fold over, but you don't have to do that, but I wanted to. But that's the reason you see a little bit extra up here, is I was kind of playing with designs, and that's how I made the little foldovers for the back of the envelopes. Okay, so that's where we're gonna start. And then I do not have a seed packet die. So I just set with some paper and old school ruler and made some little templates just to kind of get a start, to see what I could make, you know, that this would stamp on. And I at first thought I would just use a craft cardstock, but it was just so stiff and bulky. It kind of didn't give me the old-timey feel that I was wanting. So then I thought, okay, I'll use just some vellum, because I do like it, because I thought the candy cane, the peppermints would show through. But again, y'all, I don't know. I was going for an old school vibe. So I went down to my kitchen, and y'all are going to probably laugh about this, but I have the unbleached parchment paper in my kitchen to cook on. And this is what I ended up making the envelopes out of, because it's perfect. It gives it that old-timey look, but a little bit of a waxy feel, and you could still see through it, but it still has that kind of old-timey crinkly sound to me, like an old country store. So that is what I used. And I don't even know what name brand this is, but you can find it, you know, at Publix or Walmart, Target, anywhere that has parchment paper to cook on, just by the unbleached roll. And I love this paper, y'all. It just has the bareliest little bit of waxiness to it. So that's what I ended up cutting. Hold on one second, I knocked some stuff over. That's what I ended up cutting the envelopes out of, and just folded them into like a little seed packet. Before you glue them, though, this is the one thing. Take whatever die you want to use for your window. I chose a little oval scallop. And before you glue your envelope together, tape your die on and run your die through so you can get your window, if that's what you want. I wanted a little window on mine. So do that. And then the other thing you're going to do, I have this just clear paper, or I guess I don't even know what you would call it, just this clear film stuff. And I just cut little rectangles and glued it onto the back of my seed sheet. That way, when you put it on your envelope, you have your window for all of your seeds. So that's how you get to that. If you want a window, it's completely optional, but that's how I got to that part. So let's see what else, y'all. For the peppermint, on the inside, I have this bottle of sprinkles. It came from Michael's. It's called Candy Bonbons, and they have it at Christmas. You may be able to order it online anytime, but it just has the little peppermints in it. And so I just poured a little bit of each of that in each of the envelopes. But you could certainly use real peppermints if you wanted to, or just use some paper peppermints if you have a peppermint die cut, and put those in there. But that's how I got those in. Okay, let's see what was next. On the back, let me flip it over, and I'm going to go back to the elf and the rosette in a minute, but I'm going to kind of go through with y'all the major parts of the envelope first. On the back, y'all know, I think I use something from this set in just about every video that I do. I used the little Market Delight where it says Baker's Choice stamp, and it's this one. It's the Flea Market Finds from Kathy Holden, sorry, and it is Spellbinders. And y'all, it has so many fabulous designs on it. So that's what I use for the back, but you could use anything you had, or you could use another peppermint, or you could just glue it down with some ribbon, anything that you want, but I kind of wanted just like a little old-timey label on the back. So I used that, and you can see on the back what I was talking about, how I saved a little bit of tab at the front to cut out to be able to fold over in the same pattern. So that's how I did the backs. Now, before you glue, let me show y'all. I took just regular pipe cleaner and I kind of measured out the envelope after you get this part glued up here at the top. I just kind of put a little piece under it, pulled it around to the top, kind of get an idea, form a little bit of a triangle, and I did one twist in the center to hold it, and then I just spin it around to make like a little faux bow at the top, and you can just play with it until you get your bow size how you want it. Okay, but that's how I made the little silver hangers for each one of them. And then I just glued that in there, y'all. Okay, so that gives you your little hanger. And then, like I said, twist it so it'll stay, but I'm just doing a quick show you so you can see how I got the silver. Okay, and then you can use this for an ornament hanger or on a gift tag, a present, whatever you want to use this for. So that's how I got to that. Now, I was absolutely in love with the idea of doing a rosette, but I do not have any rosette dies. So I was trying to figure out a way to crimp my paper and keep it somewhat uniform. And so I have this old paper crimper. I don't know if any of y'all have these or something similar in your stash. But what I decided to do, y'all, is I just cut a little strip and I ran it through the paper crimper. And y'all can see how it crimps your paper for you. And then y'all, I just set and used that as kind of a loose template to fold along those lines. And just folded it back and forth like an accordion. And went all the way down, okay? And then after you do that, you want to cut and run 2 strips through, okay? After you do that and you fold your strips, you will glue your 2 strips together. And if you have a rosette die, you don't have to do all this, but I don't have one, so I kind of went old school on how to make my rosette. You will glue your sides together on your crimped paper. And I don't know if I can do this without actually gluing it, y'all. But you will lay it flat after you glue your ends, and it won't pop off if you glue it. So I might have a little bit of a struggle without gluing this. But you glue those and you push it together into the center, and it will form you the rosette, okay? And here's the great thing. If you don't have a rosette die, and you know it may not be perfect the way I did it, when you put your piece on the center, it does a lot, you know, it kind of hides the flaws, because you can see mine is not completely uniform, where I just kind of crimped mine by hand and folded it. Okay, so you get your rosette, and all I did, y'all, I took this little 1-inch circle punch and I just cut some circles out of coordinating paper to glue on the back of each one of the rosettes that coordinated with the envelope. Glued that on the back just to dress it up a little bit more. And I took a little bit larger die for the circle on the front, because I also wanted to use, so you can see this is the size die, this is the size circle on the back. I went a little bit larger for the circle on the front because I had cut snowflakes out and I wanted the snowflake to glue in the center for contrast. Okay, and that's how I did that. All right. And I did hot glue these, y'all, on here because it's a little bit easier to get the hot glue to stick to the rosette. So that gave me my center. And I also hot glued the rosette to the back of the pipe cleaner. Then I just used some striped ribbon that I have in my stash, and it's double-sided. And I made tiny little bows to coordinate with the stripes of the peppermints. And I hot glued those on. And then I did the elf. You know, I had so much fun coloring this elf. And so again, he's just an old red rubber stamp, so I don't have a die for him. So I just fussy cut him out on some white cardstock, and I just used markers to color him. And that's the elf. I did use a little bit, I stamped him in Vintage Photo, and that's also what I stamped the envelopes in. And then I used a little bit of the tea dye to go around and distress the edges to kind of hide some of my flaws on the elves. Okay. And then I used a little bit of red stickles for the berries just to give it a little bit of shine. And I used some white stickles on the tip of his hat and also on the Santa hat on the envelopes. And then y'all know I love these for teeny tiny detail work. They're the Stabilo, and they're very, very fine tips. So I just used the red and the blue. I used the red down here on the peppermint, and also to make the stripes on the elf. And of course, the white jelly roll pen for the white accents, which y'all know is just such a good little white pen. Okay, so after I colored him and I fussy cut him out, I used just a little ring, jewelry ring. I punched a teeny tiny hole, if you can see that, in the leaf. And then I just used one of these little split rings, or I don't know, jump rings that has the little hole in it so you can pull it apart. I put the jump ring through it and then put it around the pipe cleaner and crimped it back closed. So he would kind of dangle, but I wanted him to dangle kind of tight. So I just used a small little ring up here. So he would look like he's kind of perched on the rosette, looking at the bow. Y'all can see the sparkle, and I did the white stickles on his hat. You can see the little sparkles right there. But y'all can hear how crinkly this paper is. That's why I just thought this parchment paper would be so good for this project. And then I thought the rosette was just a perfect theme to tie into just this old-timey looking Christmas ornament with the silver pipe cleaner. And then the only other thing I did was I just took a little bit of the tea dye and distressed around the edges just a little to kind of cover up some of the flaws and give it a little bit of an old look. And that's it, y'all. I did put a little stickle right in the center of each one of the snowflakes. The only other thing I was going to show y'all, I showed this paper pad in my last video, but it has become such a favorite. I wanted to show it again. Let me move these over because all the paper I used came out of this. It came from Joann's. It's currently available. It's a Park Lane. It's Everyday Essentials. But I think I got it on sale for like $7 or $8, but it has 180 sheets in it. And y'all, it just has gorgeous old colors in it, I think, that are so pretty. But all of the green prints that I used for these envelopes came out of this pack. So this, to me, this just speaks to my color palette, because these are the colors that I use, and they were all out of this palette. And I like it because there's so many different designs that coordinate with this one color. So that is what I used for the paper. Let's see if there's anything else. Now, I will show y'all the die that I use for the window, but not that it matters because you could just use anything that you have. But to cut the little center die, I use just a scallop, and I think this is a probably a Spellbinders. Yes, it is a Spellbinders die. So that is what I use. But you know, you could just use anything that you have. And then honestly, y'all, I do not remember which snowflake die I used. So just use anything you want, or any snowflake, because you know, no two snowflakes are alike anyway. So but I honestly could not remember which snowflake die I used. I even flipped through a couple of sets and I couldn't find the exact one I used. So that is our little Christmas vintage elf Christmas project. And it's just an old-timey seed packet, y'all. And I don't know, I just loved this. I loved the whole idea of this. And normally I would have never thought to do a rosette or something up here, but I was trying to come up with a project to be able to add a rosette into. And I just love how the rosette gave it kind of a vintage vibe. So that is my rosette and Saturday morning makes project this week, y'all. Have a good rest of the week.